there's a lot that we can say about this case. And I'm not forgetting about what I started the topic with, because I will go back to that, the Civil War and everything else. But this is what we can say about this case. We have internalized what white people have told us to glean from Christianity. We have become, back during slavery, back during Jim Crow, the same Bible verses from, if I'm not mistaken, Galatians, were used to actually tell us to be good servants. We have fully internalized a conception of Christianity that lets our white oppressors off the hook. We have deliberately used theology to neuter ourselves, to neuter our politics, to undermine everything that we can do to galvanize our community, and in so doing, we have actually dehumanized ourselves in the process. Now that's not our fault. That's actually dehumanization that was manipulated into us by our colonizers, but it's something that we should be very clear about. We should be very clear that there is an interpretation of Christianity. It's not necessarily the only interpretation of Christianity. It's not even the only interpretation of Black Christianity. But there is an interpretation of Christianity that has been used to de-radicalize and to decouple politics from justice. Now, when even Jesus placed conditions on forgiveness. He said you at least got to repent first. He said that you at least got to repent first. But here we are telling this woman that we love her, that she deserves a hug. And she didn't even have the wherewithal. She didn't even have the basic courage to plead guilty, Herschel.
Yeah.
Like
right.
Again, and this is not entirely our fault. This is how. First off, the media reaction deserves quite a bit of credit for this. Credit for how this is done, because they didn't focus on the injustice. They didn't focus on the racist text. They didn't focus on the murder. They focused on the forgiveness. Just like they did during Charleston.
They only do it for us.
Yeah,
they don't ask white people the same thing.
Well, you're right that they don't ask white people the same thing, but it should be noted that this narrative is for white people.
Right.
This narrative is entirely for white people. So when a Charleston happens, when a Dylan Roof goes into a church and kills people, they don't tell you about the family members that don't forgive Dylan Roof. Right. They foreground the ones that do. Right. So we have to note that this is the media participating in an aspect of colonization where they want to de-radicalize you by making sure that you don't feel the anger that is your human right.
Antoine, we had this conversation the other day, you and I. And I told you I was so proud of my pastor at our Bible study because people have forgiveness mixed up with this sideshow that we saw with Botham John.
Botham John's brother.
John's brother.
His name Grant or something like that?
I don't want to call him what I want to call him.
No, we ain't gonna call him that.
One thing he did say, and I was so proud of him because it's in line with
one thing your pastor said.
I believe. My pastor said what's in there, which I was proud of him because it's what I believe. I can forgive you, but me forgiving you is for me. It's not for you. Right. It lets me off the hook from having a hard heart towards you. I ain't trying to hug you and be your friend. You done killed my brother or my sister or my brother or anything else. The Bible and the Quran tells you to love. Don't say you have to sit down and break bread with those that have done you wrong. Nobody can tell. If somebody can tell me different, please do so and correct me. Forgiveness is for yourself. It's not for the other person. It's to alleviate you from hardening your heart. I ain't got to be your doggone friend and invite you to dinner and want to, kumbaya with you. Listen, I'm gone. I got nothing to say to you. You killed my brother wrongly and you won't even admit it. Like you said, if you are truly the Christian that you claim to be, plead guilty. Plead guilty and take whatever's coming your way. No remorse. Then you said the same day that Miss John was making funeral arrangements for her son, this woman was sending texts about going out and having some drinks. The same day that she was making funeral arrangements for her son that was killed for relaxing in his home, for smoking a little weed, eating some ice cream in his own home, minding his business, was murdered for being black. and having the audacity to be able to enjoy himself in his own home.
But you know, Herschel, I think that that's another problem with the circumstances. That there are multiple mechanisms of individualization that are happening here, well, there are two big ones that come to mind. While it may be true that she killed a black man because he was black, the reason why she killed him is because she was a cop. Let's not get it twisted. She's using the philosophy that was trained into her and drilled into her as part of an occupying force for black communities, as part of the Dallas PD. We don't talk about this very often. And I'm not gonna I'm not even gonna say that. But as part of the Dallas PD, part of her remit, she actually had text released where she was one of the officers at a Martin Luther King Day parade, and she was talking about how she was complaining about how long the procession was. And when she complained about how long the procession was, he's like, she mocked the fact that he was assassinated. Again, this is what we hire into the police force, and I think that
it's not just what they hire; it's what they foster, it's what they train.
Right. Well, it's the institutional environment. Right. So what I'm saying is that this is not an example of just her at fault. She was doing precisely what she was trained to do. They are fully trained to go into stray black people's homes and to criminalize them the second they get there, and then to shoot them after that criminalization takes place. She's reflecting the philosophy of her police department by doing that, and that was further reflected at the trial, where police officers came forward and acted as character witnesses in her favor to ask for more lenient sentencing. So when we're just blaming her, we're actually letting a whole police department off the hook, which is something that Botham John's mother did not do.
No, she did
not. No, she did not do. And this is what I.
She was trained to shoot. That's right. She did exactly what she was trained to do.
That's absolutely right.
We cannot. See, here's the problem, Antoine. Just like
targets are societally determined, and police are the taxpayer. They are the tax-paying police force that are. They execute what society tells them to target.
Right. It's understand one thing, and this is again these are conversations that we've had. That we're now just airing. When things like this happen to individuals, they have to look at the larger picture. If you personally want to forgive someone, if you personally want to do something, I would advise you to keep in mind that Botham John is just one of thousands of black men that have been shot for being black. You have to keep in your mind that what you do helps set the narrative for how people are going to deal with us and how they're going to view us. So now you set up this circus coon show, and you hug this woman, and you don't want her to suffer, you don't want to go to jail. Then your mother comes behind you and speaks her piece. You even split your own family because his mother didn't feel the same way. So these are the things that we cannot continue to over-individualize this crap. Because today is Botham John, tomorrow is Antoine Hillsman, the day after is me. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not going to stop. And what they're going to use is this same buffoonery to help neuter and undermine our demonstrations and our strength.
And our protests.
And exactly. Because these are the things, why can't you be like them? Why can't you be forgiven? Why you can't stop putting bullets in my behind? Never mind duck season, rabbit season. It's nigga season. This is the way. This is the narrative. This is the narrative. You understand what I'm saying? A man asks, well, I know, and I know I'm on the air. Listen, this is what it is. This is the way we're viewed. Black people are not. They're not just here for someone's recreation, and we have to stop this nonsense. We have to always do what's best for the greater body. We can't over-individualize. It's fine for you to feel whatever you feel. But if you're going to undermine the greater good, you need to go somewhere and sit down.
But Herschel, the other part of individualization, I'm glad you mentioned this, is that, let's assume for a second that hugging this woman was the morally right thing to do. Let's assume that for a second, just for the sake of argument. Let's assume for a second that forgiving her was the right thing to do, that it was something that we have a communal obligation to do. Black people, when you're in a public setting, you are not just a representative of yourself.
Wait. Say it again.
Black people, when you are in a public setting, you are not just a representative of yourself. Your personal opinions, if they make the group look bad, they make you look bad. If they undermine the politics of the group, they undermine the politics of you. So, there is an argument that's going around where people are separating the reactions to his forgiveness, saying that, it's his brother, he has a right to personally forgive him. And you know what? I think that's actually second to your community obligation. Your community obligation is to what this allows. Now, in a circumstance like this, where a woman was given 10 years, and she'll only serve about 3 to 5 of those years. She'll serve about 3 to 5 of those years. But the circumstances, a woman is sentenced to 10 years, and you're saying that she should not go to jail. You're saying that her crocodile tears at the hearing are sufficient enough redress for somebody breaking into another black man's home and shooting him in the face. Now, again, I think that this is an area where, even if that's your personal opinion, your obligation to the community should be should come before and be above that. And I think that this is one of those areas where individualization actually messes up. That has a lot of moment. Even to an 18-year-old, he grew up under Black Lives Matter. He grew up under the Ferguson uprisings. He grew up under what happened in Baltimore, New York, Oakland, Berkeley, all those places. This is the context that he grew up in. Forgiveness in that context, in a context where no justice is clear, is something that undermines the whole. And when you undermine the whole, and when you threaten to undermine the whole, that should cause you to bite your tongue.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
You're absolutely right, Antoine. I don't. You know what? Let's do this. Let's do this. Let you have that final word.